So in just a couple of days, Solo, a Star Wars story, is going to hit theaters, and this is a movie that has been sparking debate ever since they first announced it. Yesterday, I put out a video called 4 Reasons That Solo, a Star Wars Story Could Suck, and today we're going to counterbalance that, and I'm going to give my 4 reasons that I think that this movie could potentially be awesome, or at least a ton of fun. Now, before I give you my reasons, go ahead and tell me down below in the comment section, why are you excited for Solo, a Star Wars Story? Why do you think it's going to be awesome, a ton of fun, all the fun, encouraging aspects about this movie? Let's talk about it down below in the comment section. With that said, let's get started. Reason number 1 this movie could be awesome is Ron Howard. So yesterday we talked about how there was a director stop and they started with Lord and Miller and they ended up with Ron Howard, and there's reason to be concerned about that. But if you're going to get someone to direct a Star Wars movie that's probably going to do a great job, Ron Howard is on the short list of safe actors to make a movie like this. This is a guy going back to the 80s that did a movie called Willow based on a story from George Lucas. He's done adventure movies. This is a guy that's done comedy. He's done fun movies. He's done very serious movies. He's won Oscars for Best Director. He is a very talented, competent director that's great with actors, that knows how to work with producers and produce movies that please audiences. And so the idea that you would get him to make a Star Wars movie isn't terribly surprising. In fact, if when they first announced this movie, they picked him right out of the gate, we would all just kind of say, well, that's a pretty safe and obvious pick. And the reason that certain directors are safe and obvious is because they're going to do a good job. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get consistent quality entertainment from someone like Ron Howard. And we know that because he's got a filmography going back a long time demonstrating that he knows how to do this. And you give a director like that a property like Star Wars, it's just like giving him a playground to have an enormous amount of fun with that we get to go along for the ride with him. And so right out of the gate, the fact that Ron Howard is directing this should put a lot of confidence in you that they were able to kind of correct this ship and make a very fun adventure for us to see. Reason number 2 you should be very excited for this movie is Lawrence Kasdan. This is the writer of Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. He is classic Star Wars royalty that was able to take these stories and characters from George Lucas and craft what is largely considered the best Star Wars movie. And Return of the Jedi is a little bit more divisive among people, but there's certainly a lot of great content in there. And that's who they got to make this movie or write the script for this movie. And part of that is that he kind of said he wanted to do one more story and wanted it to be Han Solo. So this was kind of his pet project. It was like, if I'll do one, if I'm going to kind of close this deal out, I will do a Han Solo one. And that's what he did. He worked on the script with his son for this movie. And so you're just thinking this classic Star Wars talent deciding he wants to do one more story, pouring it into this script, and combined that with all the director swap stuff was all kind of largely related to him being like, hey, you're moving away from my script. And they wanted to steer it back to a classic Star Wars direction. And so they got a great director that's going to be able to do that and deliver what was in this script, put those 2 pieces together, and there's good reason to think that we're going to get a very solid adventure. Reason number 3 that this movie could be awesome is that the trailers have looked like a lot of fun. Now, coming off the last 2 Star Wars movies, I would kind of like just a solid, fun adventure. Because if you look at Rogue One, very heavy movie where a lot of people died towards the end of that movie. And then you kind of go into Last Jedi, which was intentionally a deconstruction of the Jedi Order, where you're looking at a very cynical, broken Luke Skywalker, where our heroes are on the run, they're not winning. That's some pretty heavy Star Wars. So the idea that we're going to kind of change that up and let's kind of take the most fun, roguish character in the Star Wars universe and just send him on an adventure without the pretense, without the heavy dramatic themes, just a fun adventure with some of his favorite supporting characters. That sounds like a lot of fun for me, and that's what the trailers have demonstrated that they're trying to do with this movie. It's setting him up just going on this heist, meeting Lando, meeting Chewie, getting the Millennium Falcon, stuff that's just an adventure that you can go along, eat popcorn, eat jujubes or whatever candy you like to eat while watching a movie, drink lots of soda, and watch something that puts a big grin on your face. And finally, the fourth reason that I think that this movie could be a blast is it's all about Han and Chewie. Kind of one of the classic duos in Star Wars is Han and Chewie, and trying to figure out why is it that Chewie's following him around? Because we know from other places in the Star Wars canon that he's done other things, been in all kinds of adventures, and then as soon as he meets Han, that's his life for the next period of time. So what is that story that kind of bonds the two of them together? What's their first adventure? How does all this kind of tie together? It seems like that's the story we're going to get in this movie, and the idea of getting a lot of Han and a lot of Chewie and a lot of them together with the Millennium Falcon, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. I get a little bit nervous about some of the other things that they could do in answering questions about Han and the Millennium Falcon and gambling and like just how great he is. I can be nervous about some of those details, but seeing more Han and Chewie, for me, that's kind of the one aspect of this where I don't really get nervous. I just go, I think that'll just be a ton of fun. Combine all this together where you've got a solid director, legendary Star Wars talent, the trailers look fun, and it's about Han and Chewie. I think there's a lot of potential for this to be a solid, rewatchable movie that I'll put in a lot. My actual prediction going into this one is that I'm going to like Solo a lot more than I liked Last Jedi. I respected the ambitions and some of what they were trying to do with Last Jedi, but I didn't really like it, a lot of what they did. It wasn't really an enjoyable film for me to watch. It's not one I think I'm going to rewatch a lot. I anticipate that I'm not going to necessarily like respect the ambitions of Solo because it doesn't seem particularly ambitious, but I think I'm going to find it to be a lot of fun. A movie that's easy to put on and just enjoy it for the ride. And at the end of the day, maybe I think I'm okay with that the episodes are kind of these bigger, meatier feasts, and this is fast food Star Wars. Maybe I'm okay with that. Well, I guess I'll find out in just a couple of days. How about you guys? Why are you excited for this one? Why do you think it might turn out to be a ton of fun or maybe even an awesome movie? Let me know down below in the comment section. And if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos, sometimes little editorials like this one where I talk about why movies might be awesome or why they might suck. But the key thing is I don't want to just talk about movies. I want to talk about movies with you. So join me down in the comment section. Let's have a lively discussion. And as always, thank you for watching.